Good morning. My name is Chaz. Thank you so much for being here. Today, I want to talk about self-love, and I want to give you 2 tips that you can implement starting today to help love yourself more and to get more out of this life than more than you could ever have imagined. So, since I began my journey on personal development, I've tried a massive amount of techniques out there and strategies to try to make myself into a better person. What are the most effective teachings? What does it all mean? What does it all boil down to? When I was just trying to figure this out for myself, the big question that I've asked myself was like, what are the principles that I need to learn to get what I want out of this life? And it seems like there are so many different directions that we could go in. Like we could pursue money, we could pursue inner self-esteem work, we could pursue shadow work or, do therapy, maybe NLP, even psychedelics, right? Meditation is another one. Yoga. There's just so many different things that we could do out there. So how do we make sense of all this? So just recently, I have discovered that the whole point of life is about finding your aim in this world, right? It's distilled into a single word, hyphen word. It's so simple, amazingly simple, actually, and it sums up pretty much everything. So what's this lesson that I learned? Self-love is the answer. Self-love. The problem is that answer is very abstract, and for good reason, but it makes it very difficult to understand and to decipher the meaning of what self-love means. I've read numerous lengthy books, rather textbooky books on this subject. I've watched numerous interviews, watched numerous other YouTube videos about this, and so I'm going to try to distill this as best that I can and simplify it as best I can on this subject. So here goes. So bear with me. There was this research study that was conducted that gave out the 3 most common traits of any successful person, like ultra successful person. And they were as follows. 1, they had a superiority complex. They thought that they were better than everybody else. Now, with that mentality, they also thought that they could do bigger and more grandiose things, right? Number 2, they had crippling insecurity of not being enough. Number 3, they had impulse control. So they know where they want to go. They have a huge drive to not be a failure, and they can stay focused on the task because of impulse control. Now, I'm going to talk about all 3 of those traits, but the single best one of the bunch is impulse control. Without it, you simply can't stay focused, right? You cannot be true to yourself if you constantly bounce around from idea to idea. Nothing will ever get fully developed and brought into the market. When I say market, I mean it could be the actual sales market, or it could be you bringing out a better version of yourself into this world. My goal has always been to figure out why I can never amount to anything. I'm not very good at doing things only when I know. Okay, let me rephrase that. I am good at doing things only when I know that by not doing them, I'll disappoint someone else. Now, meanwhile, I'll disappoint myself all day long. My impulse control is almost non-existent. And this is the reason why I've never been able to finish anything. Now, I've always felt that trading time for money was never the best way to live in this world, the standard 9-to-5 job, let's say. So I've really tried to start my own business throughout the years. I've tried multiple ones, but I've always gotten stuck the moment it gets hard. The thing is, starting your own business is extremely different from a normal 9-to-5 job. I took no risk in my 9-to-5, but I took on the sole 100% risk and responsibility for any business that I would start. Now, as an aside here, the only ones that I've started are solopreneur businesses that mostly all deal online. I've done a little bit of real estate wholesale and a couple things offline, but most of it's been online. So when the time came for the work to start to get real and get stressful, I found my mind always looking for some kind of distraction out there. After enough times of it happening, I would tell myself it's not working, and I would bail on the project. But why was my mind always looking to distract myself? Mel Robbins says it like this, in my own words, of course. Procrastination, the main thing that drives procrastination is not your desire to avoid work, but to avoid stress. Procrastination is nothing more than a subconscious desire to feel good right now so that you can feel a little bit better, a little bit of stress release. Now, a common mistake that we all make is that we make a deliberate effort to procrastinate, and that's false. You're not procrastinating because you hate work. You procrastinate because you feel stressed. And here's the catch. It's not usually stress about the work. It's stress about other aspects of life. So like relationship stress or money stress. And every time that you distract yourself with a cat video and you put off the work that you should be doing, that work builds, right? As that work builds, so does the stress. And it becomes a vicious cycle that you get yourself into. Then one day you wake up and you realize that you're a 37-year-old man wishing that you spent your 20s working so that the today you would be much further ahead. We understand future thinking and often compare our today self with where we wish we would be. This thinking compounds the already stressful existence that we have to the point where, the only logical solution is to go, why try? What's the point? I'll never get out of the cycle. And this is where self-love comes in. We are where we are in life because of the choices that we've made. To some extent, the choices of others. They can weigh in, but unless you've just moved out of your parents' house, it's much less than you think it is. Parents do hold a great influence over you in the younger years, but you got to catch those you should be this ideas that your parents placed upon you and choose for yourself. That's what you want to be. Remember, this is your life, not theirs. Now, all the choices and failures that I've had in my life have led me to this moment of making this video. My past is consistent with what I said above and has led me on a rather wild journey. Now, I understand where an addict comes from because I used to be one. I've led recovery groups, and I got to work with a lot of really cool individuals, all of which have suffered because they thought they couldn't be happy for one reason or another. They lacked self-love. They got their identity from someone else and was always told they would never amount to anything. Without self-love, they believed this, and they hid that pain through substance abuse, sex, alcohol, codependent behaviors, etc. Self-love gives us the checks and balances that we need to make sure that we're not being taken advantage of. That ensures that we do what's right for us as well as what's right for those we love around us. So let's talk about that for a moment, that phrase, what's right for us. Ask yourself, do you make decisions based on logic or do you make decisions based on emotions? Now, if you said logic, you're wrong. Well, most likely, very few can do it, and it takes years of practice. But if you're watching this video, I highly doubt that that's you. Let me explain. When you ask yourself, what do I want to eat? What you're really asking is, what do I feel like eating? Have you ever set an alarm to get up earlier than normal to try to get some work done? Maybe go for a workout, when that alarm goes off, you find yourself questioning, hitting the snooze button, and going back to bed. Have you ever had that? Even if you did get up, you did the workout. Did you feel the pull to stay in bed when the alarm first went off? Well, that's your feelings making the decisions for you. If you got out of bed anyways, good for you. But it's that tug inside you that happens anytime a decision needs to be made. I'm trying to bring awareness to that tug. Luckily, like anything else, managing your emotions is a skill that can be improved upon. Remember, in elementary school, they taught us classes on math, language arts, history, science, and emotional control. Yeah, me neither. But I was just told to be quiet and sit still. Fidgeting was my worst nightmare in school. But that's about it. I have bought so many things and never used them. I've slept in way too many days in bed. I have indulged in the drink, in food, and self-sabotage my eating goals, all because I felt like it in the moment, right? That's why those candies are right there by the register. They try to capture your feeling. Ooh, that sounds good. I want that. But that's all feelings, emotions. So it's hard. Feelings run so much of our lives, and it happens in a nanosecond. So quickly, in fact, that our brains start formulating why this is such a good idea that we completely miss the fact that it was an emotion, that an emotion was the catalyst to it all. Maybe you're like me, and this has been one of your biggest struggles. Not because of impulse control, but when something gets stressful, my mind and emotions come up with reasons to procrastinate instead of doing the work. So I'll get up early and I'll sit down to write, but instead of writing, I'll watch an instructional YouTube video instead. I told myself that I need to do more research on this topic, and in the end, I don't get any writing done. Have you ever seen a movie where the writer sits down with an empty white page and just gets so frustrated at how hard it is putting words on paper? Yeah, I've been there. It causes stress and anxiety. Your mind is built to avoid those things that cause stress and anxiety, so it formulates pathways to avoid it. Now, this is called procrastination. Your mind wants to relieve you of that stress that it's either currently feeling or it's projected to feel. So you find yourself wandering off path and watching a cat video instead, or in my case, an instructional YouTube video on the topic that I want to speak about. Right? I want to verify that what I'm saying is good, and that stress of being wrong and that stress of missing a valid point is great. The more you wander off, the stronger that neural pathway gets, and the harder it is to come off that path when you're ready to get off this merry-go-round. Now, the best tip I can give, and the first tip I can give on this, is to change this pattern, is to introduce what we call a pattern interrupt, such as the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. If you haven't guessed, I love her. Basically, when you've tried to do something and your mind always gets in the way, the moment you get that thought or the moment the alarm goes off, count backwards from 5. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Now, seriously, say the word go. Counting backwards engages the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that is engaged during active thought. Now, your mind loves autopilot and will attempt to go there every time it can. Have you ever been on a long drive that you take every single day to work, and then you wake up like, well, I'm already at work. I missed the drive. Like, you just don't remember the drive itself. That's autopilot. But by activating the prefrontal cortex and saying the word go, or whatever your word choice is, get up, you remove the emotional charge that your brain has, and you've replaced it with logic. So you set your alarm earlier than normal for a reason, right? You did that for a reason. The reason is whatever. You wanted to go for a workout, get more writing done, etc. But you pre-planned this. You need this. It's logical because it fits within your plan. You cannot achieve your goals if you do not do this, is what you've told yourself. Yet you're finding it difficult to activate your plan, and it's all because of your emotions. You've built up this pathway for so long, and it's so strong that you have to kick yourself out of it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. When you say go, you have to get physical, meaning move your body, sit up, take the covers off, and get out of bed. You will be surprised on how all of those emotional stay-in-bed thoughts disappear as you start counting backwards. Now, why 5 seconds? Because 5 seconds is all it takes for the brain to start coming up with reasons why you should avoid doing the thing that you know you need to do. That's simple. You have a 5-second window from the time a thought pops into your head to go do the thing to when your brain comes up with reasons to do it later. Okay, Chaz, that's a lot of stuff outside the topic of self-love, but what's the point? Well, the point of all this is to say that in order to actualize self-love, we need to introduce a pattern of interruption into our lives. Now, this path that we've been living for so long is so ingrained into who we are, who we believe we are, that the difficulty in changing is extreme. Now, the way to go about it is really simple, but actually doing it is difficult. And yes, this does work with negative self-talk too. Anytime you start thinking negative about yourself, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I am great, I can do this. Do that enough times, and that neural pathway that I mentioned, it will start to alter, and you'll find out that you start to like yourself a little bit more each and every day. It works with drink. It works with if you're an alcoholic and you get that urge to grab a drink. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get up. Go do something else. Go draw. Go write. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go clean the garage. Right? Go is the most important part of that whole thing. But let me explain it this way. Have you ever heard someone say the phrase, whatever makes you happy? Or all I want to be is happy. What is happiness? Happiness is experienced in the moments of reflection when what you have around you is in alignment to who you are. When you pause life, you take notice of all the little things that you have around you, and you marvel at, how could this be my life? And you could be living in a 1-bedroom apartment with your 5 kids, and you could still marvel at what you have because you are blessed. Right? You have this life, and you could change course in any direction. You have these 5 kids around you. You have a TV. You have food. You're not hungry. You're blessed. And when you're proud of the life that you're building, when you're proud of the man or woman that you have become, you know where you've been, you know where you've been today. It's been a struggle to get here, and you're proud that you're a new individual today. You're better today than you were yesterday. You know, you may not have all you want, but the journey itself has been rewarding. And all these things culminate into an emotion of happiness. Now, this is not the same as having a really cool experience, say, riding the biggest wave with your buddies, or, having a great time doing so. That is but a moment in time. That was a great experience, but because it was great experience, does not mean that you're happy. Happiness is not a goal that you can aim towards, but merely a byproduct of living your life in accordance with your true self. And you can be happy in almost any situation, but if you find yourself not happy, that means that something is off, something that you cannot name often. It's something that you do, however small, that offends your being. Like telling yourself you're going to go do something and then not following through. That's an offense that your body takes, that your soul takes against yourself, even though you might not notice it. I didn't notice it for years, and that was one of the huge things I did. Anyways, that was and still is my biggest issue. I am basically lying to myself by saying that I'll do something and then not following through. If you do this, I want you to say this out loud. I lie to myself. Now, when you say that out loud, how does that make you feel? Even if what you said you were going to do was inconsequential, you still didn't keep that promise, and that affects how you think of yourself. Now, this affects happiness. It's hard to have self-love for someone who regularly offends, attacks, lies, and cheats on themselves. If you get one thing out of this video, I want this to be it. If you say you're going to do it, do it. Period. Period. Especially if you say it to yourself. Now, this single thing can build more confidence inside you than any other tip can. And once you start doing it to yourself, it will naturally flow and affect others. Before you know it, the man or woman in the mirror will be someone your soul will be happy to look at. Now, this small act of keeping your promises will build your confidence. One of the biggest reasons that people fail to get started in whatever venture they want is because deep down inside, they don't believe they can find success. Now, this stems from a lack of self-confidence, which is a branch of self-love. They have proven to themselves that they fail more often than they succeed. And remember the traits of the ultra-successful? The first trait was that they believed they could do big, grandiose things. And they go out and build Instagram, for example. They first believed they could, and that's the important part. Lastly, I want to leave you with an exercise to help illustrate how all this will make you feel. Okay, so the exercise is this. I want you to take your hands. I want you to place them, clasp them together, okay? Now, I want you to rotate each finger up one Okay? Just move one finger, just go one finger over on all the fingers, including the thumbs. Now close your eyes. How does that feel? Does that feel normal, or does that feel a little bit uncomfortable? Right? Do you feel how unnatural that feels? It feels really weird, right? Your hands are not in the wrong position. It's just outside of your natural placements. This is to illustrate how implementing what we talked about here today is going to feel. It's going to feel unnatural at first, weird even. But understand that it's only weird to you. If someone came by and saw how your hands were clasped in the wrong position, would they be able to tell it was in the wrong position? Not at all. It looks normal. So don't be dismayed if by feeling uncomfortable as you learn to love yourself. It's part of the process. Don't be dismayed if by spending time on yourself, others get offended because you're learning to prioritize yourself instead of them. One of the greatest gifts that you could ever give yourself is the gift of self-love. It's the launching pad that will enable so much more out of life for you, and so much more that's unimaginable to you right now. Now, this is my first YouTube video here on YouTube. As such, any comments made will be 100% answered. So please comment and let me know how the video helped you or did not help you. Any ways that I can make it better for next time. Now, if it did help you, please like and share this video so that the algorithms will notice it. I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you. Remember, you are worth everything you desire. Until next time, I love you.